I've been using Grokbot every day since it came out, and it feels more personal and more capable than any other agent that I've used. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting it. The UI is built to give every bot the feeling of a persistent character rather than a thread that you can just throw away. And I really like it. So in this video, I'm going to show you all of the incredible use cases that I'm using Grokbot for. Plus, I'm going to show you some of the best practices that I've learned in how to get the most out of Grokbot. So let's get right into the first use case. Email management. If you get a ton of email like me, if you have multiple email addresses like me, you probably spend so much time trying to get to inbox 0. And now it's much easier with Grokbot. I have a specific bot agent that I called the email agent. And every single day at 7:30 a.m., it looks through all of my emails from overnight and from the day before, any that are left over. And the first thing it does is look for emails that can be easily archived without me having to look at it. I have dozens of emails that are just, like one-off notifications and things that I don't really need to pay attention to. And so it puts those together for me and asks me if I want to archive them. So here it says overnight leftovers that look easy to archive, 14 out of office auto replies from my newsletter that goes out. And then it gives me a bunch of other emails that look like they don't need my attention directly. It gives me a little button I can push. I click that and it auto archives it. Now, to actually accomplish this, you're going to go into plugins and you're just going to make sure your Gmail plugin is added. You click add, a little prompt is going to pop up in the thread just asking you to connect. You click the button, you authorize Gmail, and you're done. It now has access to read your Gmail, add labels, draft replies, archive, everything. Then what I ask it to do is after those easily archivable emails, I ask it to look for kind of the low effort ones that I need to actually pay attention to, and it'll batch them together. These are emails that I actually need to look at or get some information from, but I don't necessarily need to reply to them. I don't need to spend a bunch of time on them. And so I have to blur these out because these are my personal emails, but that's what is showing right here. It's just a few sentence summary of a number of different emails all batched together. I can take a very quick look, understand it, and then just say archive. And the cool thing is Grokbot will actually learn over time, and you can tell it, hey, anytime you get an email like this, go ahead, don't even ask me. You can archive it or put it in kind of the lowest effort email review batch. Now, once I'm done with that, the way that I get through the rest of my emails is super interesting. I have it go through each one that requires my attention, requires some kind of action, and I have it read all of the context. So that's not only the current thread, but previous interactions with the person, and basically summarize the whole thing and try to suggest what the next action could be, whether that's a reply or whether it just needs me to make a decision on something. And it actually does this incredibly well. And again, the more context you give Grokbot, the better it can help assess each of these emails. For example, I connected HubSpot. I gave it access to my Google Drive where I take notes and I store contracts and everything like that. And now Grokbot knows to go check those different sources, and then it will better understand what actions it should suggest for me on each individual email. And that's how I do it. And a lot of times it's actually just writing an email for me, which is quite nice. And it sounds like me too, which is also quite nice. So with all of this, I'm able to get through my email much more quickly than I would otherwise. And I do get a lot of emails. So this is a really big time saver for me. And it can be for you as well. I have a prompt that you can give to your Grokbot to accomplish this exact workflow. I'm going to drop that and all of the other use cases that we're going over today down below. Next is email classification. Not only do I want help triaging my emails, but I want Grokbot to actually label my emails to help me sort through them and categorize them for later. And so I make YouTube videos, I get a lot of sponsorship emails, and I do get a lot of spammy sponsorship emails. And so I actually have Grokbot give a score to each of those sponsorship emails. And so I can see the spammy ones, automatically archive those. And then for the rest, it's basically like a lead scoring system. And I did build this lead score heuristic up over time with OpenClaw, but I basically just took that scoring system and then put it in Grokbot, and now it just works. And so you might need to work with Grokbot or whatever agent you're using to help come up with that scoring system, but you can do that too. And not only just scoring for sponsors, but you can label any types of emails. So I get emails from PR companies. I can easily just label those. I have internal ops and about a dozen different labels that I use, which again, it's just super helpful if I ever want to say, okay, give me all of the high quality sponsor emails that have come through. Show it to me. It can easily do that now. And so you could see I have this set up as a routine, and you don't need to set this up manually. You can literally just tell your Grokbot to set up a routine. And I have it set up to run every day during the week, every 30 minutes between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. So it's not just burning tokens when I don't really need it. It'll do a batch job first thing in the morning. So you can see all the different runs down here. Another one of my favorite use cases is actually allowing Grokbot to publish things to the internet really easily so I can share them with my team or with clients or with you all. Here.now is sponsoring this video. I love their product. I use it all the time. In fact, I actually don't use it. My agent uses it all the time, and it just knows anytime I need to publish anything, it will use here.now automatically. They actually have a native plugin now. So if you just search for here.now in the plugins list, here it is. I've actually had the skill installed, so I'm going to install the here.now plugin, the native one, right now. And just like that, you're live. That's as easy as it gets. And so when you need to publish something, it will give you back a public or private URL within seconds of needing to publish something. So you can see right here, I published this little picture of the 3D boat that I printed. I said, publish this, it did it, and then it dropped a link right here. Here.now is completely free. You can publish almost anything to it, and you don't even need an account. And in fact, I'm going to publish all of the prompts that I go over in this video using here.now, and I'm going to drop a link down below for that. Thanks again to here.now. Huge fan. Go install here.now right now into Grokbot. All right, next is calendar management. Another one of those things that you'll save a few seconds here and there, but over the course of a year, this really starts to add up. And so all this bot does is it's a bot to interact with my multiple calendars. It knows about my calendars. It has authenticated into my calendars. I don't usually interact directly with my calendar bot. I'm usually talking to my chief of staff who will then delegate it out to the calendar bot, but I will explain the chief of staff later. But all you need to know is I use this for a lot of really cool use cases. And so I use this to help me negotiate meeting times. So if I have somebody emailing me who wants to meet, I don't have to go manually look through my calendar and go back and forth with them. I simply have my calendar bot do that. It checks automatically for overlapping meetings and helps me reschedule if I ever have that. And honestly, I get a lot of emails that have multiple calendar dates in them. And all I do is have Grok check the email and then create calendar events for everything in that email. Super useful. And again, the way I want you to think about Grokbot and each of these bots is they should kind of have one main task. All right, and next is browser use. Don't forget, Grokbot has incredible browser use and it all runs in the cloud. I'll touch on the cloud aspect of Grokbot a little bit later in the video, but just remember, anything that you can do in a browser, Grokbot can do for you. And so a few things that I use browser use for are, well, first, shopping on Amazon. I'll just tell it to go find me something. And it's kind of interesting if you remember back, Amazon actually sued Perplexity because they said Perplexity agents should not be able to browse Amazon, and the judge threw it out. So now agents can freely use Amazon, and that's what we're going to be doing with Grokbot. So right now I have it searching for a 45-pound tungsten cube, which Brian recommended. And if I actually open up the computer use right here, you can see it's a mere $20,000. All right, so here we go. Closest thing on Amazon is the 4-inch tungsten cube from Midwest Tungsten Service. Shout out Midwest Tungsten Service. Listed at $20,000 in stock. Hey, I can get it within a week. So there we go. And it's really easy. It can find anything for you. It can even complete the purchase once you sign in with Amazon. And to do that, you just go to the browser right here and you click sign in, right? Just sign in like normal. It works just like it would in your own browser. And once you do it once, it's going to persist. So you don't need to always sign in each time you want to use it. You can have it put together grocery lists for you. You can have it register your car at the DMV. All of these tedious tasks that require you clicking through websites that might take just, 10 minutes, 20 minutes each. You save so much time by just having your bot do it for you. One of my favorite use cases is having my Grok bot return Amazon items for me. So rather than clicking through the whole return flow, it just goes and does it for me and gives me the QR code for it. It can book you gym times. It can book you doctor's appointments. I'm telling you, it really is incredible and it saves a lot of time. All right, next. And this came directly from the Cursor team. They told me about this. You should actually be using Grokbot as your coding agent, which kind of sounds weird, but it makes sense once you understand the logic. And so here's the gist of how it works. You have your coding agent in Grokbot. It has all of this context about you, how you like to work, and it can actually call the Cursor agent CLI directly from Grokbot. And again, the Cursor team told me, the engineers at Cursor told me this is how they're using Grokbot today. And so the way that they told me they're doing this, and I haven't done it myself yet, but I want to explain how they told me. They said they're creating a new bot for every project that they're working on, and even bots for the work streams. So if you have multiple work streams within a single project, you want to create a Grok bot for each of those. Then they actually initiate it from Slack. So they all chat in Slack and they will actually kick off different tasks to Grokbot, which then delegates to the Cursor CLI, all from Slack. And again, it has access to Notion, it has access to email, Slack, GitHub, everything it needs. And it can actually collect and persist that context apparently better than Cursor can directly. Then if they need to generate more Notion docs or plans or anything, they do that straight from Grokbot. It can kick off cloud agents, Cursor cloud agents, directly from Grokbot. Grokbot will follow up with those Cursor cloud agents and make sure that it's working and it completes the task end to end. And so an example of kind of the end-to-end workflow, also maybe known as a loop, the Grokbot will look at a PR, and if the CI isn't green, it will continue to follow up and fix it until it is. And it just knows, continue doing it until you get a green CI so that we can merge. And so instead of seeing all of the context, all of the text really that you usually get in Cursor, you get very brief summaries in Grokbot, and you can always ask for more detail because it is technically just Cursor running within Grokbot. It is very interesting. And next, if this sounds like a joke, I am actually serious. I have Grokbot ordering food for me from DoorDash. DoorDash announced its CLI product a few months ago, and there is a wait list for it. So if you don't have access to it yet, go sign up for the wait list. I'm still on the wait list. So I haven't actually done this myself, but I know a lot of other people who have. And basically what they're doing is they're allowing their bot to order food for them. Now you can do this through browser control with Grokbot today, even if you don't have access to the CLI. It's just a lot slower. And so I just typed open DoorDash and order me a sandwich, any from Mendocino Farms. And you can see I already set up my Grokbot to use the CLI. I'm just waiting to get access to it, but it knew, okay, you don't have the CLI yet. So I'm opening DoorDash in the browser instead. And so in a second, we're going to see the browser open. It's going to navigate. Here we go. You can see it already. It's going to navigate to DoorDash. It's going to look for Mendocino Farms. And there it is. It's going to order me a sandwich and get it ready. Once I sign in, once I give it my address, it will have all the information and I'll just be able to order it with a quick voice note or with a quick prompt. It's so easy. All right, next. This is another one of those super powerful use cases that I use every single day, multiple times a day. This is the meeting summary workflow. And basically how it works is I have the Fathom note taker join all of my meetings. And so it will record the meeting. It will then transcribe the meeting. I've connected it to Grokbot. Grokbot every 30 minutes will check Fathom's API to see if a new meeting has been recorded. It will then ingest the transcript. It'll write a summary of the meeting. It will write up action items. So it will detect different things that I committed to during the meeting or that the other person in the meeting committed to me. It will write those up and then it will send that to me either in Grokbot. It can send it to you in Slack. And I've even hooked up Telegram, which I'll show you in a moment. And then the next thing, and I haven't done this yet, but I think this is really going to unlock the power of Grokbot. I'm actually going to have it look at my list of to-do items, look at all the context it has about me, and try to figure out if it can actually go accomplish one of those items for me without me doing anything. And don't forget, during the meeting, you can actually talk to Grokbot. I know it might sound a little awkward if you're meeting somebody for the first time, but certainly if you're talking to your team, you can just say like, oh, hey, Grokbot, don't forget to remind us to email that person next week or anything like that. And it will read that transcript and remember to have action items that you specifically told Grokbot to do. So this is probably between email triage and the meeting summary. These are my two most powerful use cases that I do with Grokbot today. Okay, so this next one isn't really a use case. It's more how I use Grokbot. And I set up a bot called Chief of Staff. And let me show it to you. So I have Chief of Staff as a pinned bot. And if you want to pin any of these, you basically just right click and then click this pin button right here. And then it's going to show up in the top anytime that you need it. And so I have this Chief of Staff that I basically use as my main bot that I communicate with mostly. So if I'm using the desktop application of Grokbot, I'll probably click into one of these individual bots, but sometimes I just use Chief of Staff directly. However, if I have Grokbot plugged into anywhere else like Slack or Telegram, I am only communicating through my Chief of Staff. My Chief of Staff can then delegate to any other bot that it needs to. So I can tell my Chief of Staff, order me dinner for tonight. It will delegate out to my food bot. I can say, hey, let's triage the emails. It will communicate directly with my email triage bot, but I'll communicate entirely through the Chief of Staff. It is really neat. And so this is just a workflow that I use, but you can figure out if you like it or not. So the next pinned bot that I use, and really the only other pinned bot that I use, is the personal bot. I really tried to separate out my work life and my personal life, and that's how I did it. Chief of Staff is everything work related, but if it's anything to do with my personal life, I talk to my personal bot for that. All right, the next one, and this is a kind of a sub agent or a sub bot of my personal bot. This is the school bot. And again, this is another one of those super high value use cases. If you're a parent, you know how many emails you get from your kid's school. It seems like a huge essay every other day with calendar events and things I need to bring and remember. And it's so overwhelming. I now have a school bot to manage it all for me. It scans my personal email inbox once a day at 7 p.m. It looks for emails from my kids' schools. It will look for important information in them that I definitely need to know. It will quickly summarize the rest of the email, and then it will send me a message in Telegram or in Grokbot. And it will even look for calendar events that I need to know. It will create a calendar event. It will invite my wife to it. And it all happens automatically now. And so instead of reading through these massive emails once every other day from my kids' schools, I now just have Grokbot doing it for me. All right. Next is a very practical bot that I just started using. It is called Computer Cleanup, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Grokbot not only is a cloud-based agent, but it also has access to your computer. And so here's what I do. So I basically told it to look through all of the files on my computer, look for any that it thinks that I should delete. Don't actually delete it. This is really important. I told it, do not delete anything, and categorize everything that it thinks I should delete into low risk, medium risk, and high risk. And so I'm going to create a routine to run this once a week. So I'll call it weekly cleanup and I'll run it every week. And there we go. It's done. And so every week it's going to look through all of the files on my computer and just keep my hard drive clean, which is very nice. Here's a few things. So here's 90 gigabytes it found that is low risk, 26 gigabytes of cache, 17 gigabytes of superhuman cache. Here's Cursor with a copy of my database locally, more cache, NPM, unused Docker images. It's all here and I can just say, go ahead and delete it. Then we have some medium risk, 380 gigabytes. I have 100 gigabytes of work trees, which is nuts. And so then it just asks me if I want to delete some of them and I can go through it with Grokbot together. Very, very useful to keep your computer clean. All right, so next, if you use OpenClaw, if you use Hermes, you've probably grown to like doing that through Telegram, and I definitely have. Now, Grokbot today has an iOS app, but it does not have an Android app, which, fine. The Android app I have heard is coming soon, but if you want it in Telegram, it's not built in natively. It's not that hard to set up, but it isn't done natively, so you do have to set that up manually. Now, once again, I've created a prompt. You can just copy paste it directly into your Grokbot. It will set it up exactly how you need it. Once you copy paste this prompt into Grokbot, it will walk you through what you need to do in Telegram. All you need to do is open up what's called the bot father. It's a contact that is in everyone's Telegram. You create a new bot, you give it a name, it gives you the bot token, and then you give that token to Grokbot. It sets up everything for you. It works quite well. It just took a few minutes of massaging to get it to work for me, but all of the issues that I ran into, I have solved, and it is included in the prompts that I'm going to give you down below. And so now I can access my chief of staff Grokbot anywhere that I am from Telegram really easily. Plus, if you're on the go, you can drop a voice note in your Grokbot Telegram and it'll behave just like a voice note to any assistant. It'll just work. So here are my thoughts on Grokbot as a whole. One, it is a bridge between just asking Q&A with ChatGPT, so you're just asking a question, getting an answer, and more complicated coding agents like Codex and Claude Code. If you're not technical and you don't want to think about using some of these coding agents, Grokbot is such a nice middle ground. It really simplifies the interface. A lot of the stuff just works. Sometimes it gets a little bit complicated, but for the most part, it does just work. So it is very powerful, and I've been really pleased with it. It is definitely a big part of my daily workflow now. I reviewed Grokbot in full. Go check out that video right here.